Loud. All right, welcome everybody. I am Nell. I am the president of the Reading League Montana, and I am really grateful for all of these amazing educators for being here, for talking about their transformation stories, what today is about. And I'm just going to do a mute here just to make sure yep. This day is about celebrating something that we know as educators is such an important thing to do. The small gains, the amount of grit that went into the work, the choice to change, the consistent and persistent effort that you put into the daily practice to change your life and to change the students' lives that you teach. And even in that, you start to have ripple effects into your colleagues, you have ripple effects into your leadership, you have ripple effects into your community. So today is an opportunity to hear from some educators who've been doing the work, who came to the Big Sky Literacy Summit via a scholarship with the Reading League Montana and other scholars. And we really want to celebrate them and have them share their stories, because really the Reading League is all about inspiring change and giving the educator and the leader the knowledge they need to have to implement the science of reading into daily practice. Because if we can't do that, we're probably not going to make a big difference in illiteracy crises that are happening across America in many of our educational settings. So here we go. Get ready to be inspired. So I'm going to have each educator self-introduce and tell you a little bit about them, and then we're going to dig into some questions. I would like to also to meet my personal friend and colleague. She's the president of the Reading League Wisconsin, actually, but she also helps me out with the Big Sky Literacy Summit. So this is Jeannie Schaub. So now you know who we are. All right. So how about Jen? You want to start us off? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry.
There you go, Jen.
Yeah, so I'm Jen Warner, and I teach at in East Helena School Districts. I teach kindergarten. This is my K is for kindergarten shirt. And yeah, I just started seeing science of reading everywhere, and then I just started to go down the rabbit hole, and I was so excited when I heard about this conference, and I wanted to go, and I was trying to get every way to go, and I saw the scholarship, so I was like, why not? Let's do it. And it was so exciting to be able to go to this conference. It was my first huge conference, staying away from home basically, and getting to learn so much from so many different people and so many different speakers. And it was really cool because I had been listening to the podcast, the Amplify podcast. And so it was really fun to actually see the people's faces. So it was awesome to be able to meet the people in person and get to know them. And I had a really, really great time learning everything. And then taking it back to my classroom this year has been really, really fun to see all that growth. And you literally see all the pieces just come together, and that's what I was missing. You just have all these pieces, but then when you have the rope, it's all together, and it was really cool to see that.
Oh, good. I can't wait to dig into some personal application for you, and even those moments of grittiness where you're like, ah. So keep those thoughts coming. We're going to hand it over to Teresa Watts right now. Tell us about you.
Well, good afternoon. I heard about the Literacy Summit, and I got to go 2 years ago. And then this year I was a scholarship recipient. I was super excited to get to explore again and really focus on my EL student, and then everything I could possibly learn while I was there. Bringing it all together is what has been incredible for me. I've been learning about the science of reading for the last 4 years. And this year I was able to apply everything I've been learning. I've been purchasing decodable readers and using Haggerty and all of the science-based research projects that I've been able to get my hands on. And it is incredible, the growth. I have never seen anything like it. I have, at my first 6 weeks, I had a student jump 80 points in just 6 weeks. So my student growth this year is incredible. And I I give everything to the science of reading, it is because I'm following everything I've learned, and it works. And I'm such a believer. And my students this year, you cannot imagine the incredible growth I've seen. Their smiles, their confidence, it is what brings me joy. It gives me that fill. So thank you for igniting my passion, being a reading teacher. It is because of my experience at the summit that I've taken it and run with it. So
Oh,
I
wow.
teach second grade. I didn't say that. I teach second grade in Wilsall, in Shields Valley. So super small rural school. I have 14 students, and I'm so blessed to be where I am. I have leadership that we had a whole team come this year to the summit, our entire school, including our superintendent. And we got back the next week and he had the ball rolling, especially for our EL student, but for everywhere. Our kinder first, second, and third were all on the same page. We are all getting sound walls next year. We've adopted the 95% group phonics program, which pairs up with tools for reading. So our sound walls and phonics program next year is going to be incredible. So
Congratulations. I have to add before Elizabeth, you take the reins. I knew that Teresa won the scholarship, and then there was this level of influence that she seemed to have on it was about 12 people from your school, wasn't it? It was a lot. And one day her leader writes me and he's taking care of all the details. And I said, well, how about you come too? And then I opened the door for him, and then the next thing I knew, he's coming. So, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. Terry Nolan, thanks for joining us today. A colleague, she's out in the world moving incredible mountains around literacy leadership. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and have you contribute some nuggets there about what that really meant for your school, having that leader present. So we'll dig back into that. So now, Elizabeth, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Latch. I live in Missoula, Montana. I was lucky enough to be a subscriber to Reading League emails and read it with a couple weeks before the summit. And I was shocked to know I hadn't known about it and wrote pretty much a heart story about why I needed to attend. And I'm so glad that I did get to do that. I work privately. I'm a former public school teacher, educator, special education teacher in Houston, in Denver, and up here in Missoula. And I took the brave step and exited that and opened up my own private practice as a literacy coach, consultant, educator, a little bit of everything to see what was going to take. And I've been doing this for about 2.5, 3 years, COVID-ish. And it provided me with connection in a field that I felt very much like a silo. I knew this was meant to be my work, and it really was validating, where I got to be surrounded by, I kept telling Nell, it's like I was in my candy shop, a kid in a candy shop. This is definitely my passion, and I didn't know where all to find it. And it was like everything coming together in one place. So I enjoyed attending. I was there every day from morning till closing, including the business, information sessions. I learned about more businesses, more leaders. I tended to attend the leadership panels just because I felt like I had foundation in the skills to teach literacy. And I really appreciated that. And I was very moved by the amazing keynote speakers that you brought in. I created collaborative relationships within our state, and it got me through this year, which has been a lot of everything.
A lot of growth, right?
A lot of kids learning to read and a lot of grit.
Yeah, good. Glad to hear that. Okay, so all of you, you had the opportunity to participate in something and that has the well, any learning event gives us a great open door to many, 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 many opportunities. For you, they're different than they are for Jen and for Teresa being in second grade and kindergarten, right? So what are can you tell us about one golden nugget that you just sat at the summit and learned, and you were like, wow, I have to turn this around and do this tomorrow? And tell us a little bit about what happened from what we can say is called information to transformation, where you really hear something and you know it in your being that it's something that is an immediate transference for you, and you're going to go do it. And how did that play out for you? So Jen, you want to start and talk about that?
Yeah, so I loved learning more about the sound wall. And there was a preschool teacher that I had taken aside, like a little session on the side, and how she was implementing that and having them go over the sounds and looking at their mouths. And I loved how she was actually using that wall on a daily basis. So this year I had a vowel valley, but I hadn't had a consonant wall yet. I was just taking baby steps. So my first year was just vowel valley. Let's just focus on vowels. And then this year we did both. And it's so amazing, especially my kiddos with speech impediments or problems, showing them that mirror, showing them that picture, having them really replicate that mouth, and they know voiced and unvoiced. Even today, there was a little guy saying the word vog and fog, like he was showing me. We also do signs for the sounds too, but he was like, vog is the v and fog is the f. And I was like, yeah, he was just getting the difference. He was really hearing it. And I had a speech student too with even like the TH and the F. Those are usually the hardest ones for kids. And he was producing the TH, like even with the word with, he wasn't it wasn't WIF, it was WITH. It was really sticking when they can do that whole mouth, their voice box, and they really know and understand what's happening when they make those sounds instead of trying to like remember. They're feeling it all. I just remember that multisensory of everything that goes into that speech. So that was really, really powerful to just take that right back, put that sound wall up, and then get going from day one with kindergarten, especially with learning all those sounds. So that was my big like take home right away. And then just remembering to keep doing everything. So it's not just the phonics, it's not just the phonemic awareness, but it also has to do with the comprehension. And I know in kindergarten, listening comprehension is so important. So making sure that they're getting the 5 big components of that reading and just putting that all together, make sure they get that every single day. They get all 5 every day. And then orthographic mapping. I just love going down this road of all the different skills and all the little things we do every day to make it click. And by the end of the year, it really is celebrating all their hard work. Now they're just, that little light bulb goes on, and I remember seeing a student just reading everything around the room, anything he could. He was just so excited that I told him, I said, you broke the code. You know the code. So you are free to read anything you want because you can. So it's just so exciting. So exciting. So I was really, really happy about that.
Oh my goodness. I want to let you know that Kim, the preschool teacher that you just spoke about, is on this call. So shout out, Kim. Thank you so much. Thank you. You just changed a life. And how many students were you touching this year?
So I had 16.
16 more students in this world got great instruction around how sound production happens and how that links to the actual information that they're learning as they're coding it to the alphabetic system. Really powerful, right? Oh, Kim just chimed in. That is amazing. Yay, that's awesome. Terry, weren't we just talking about this today?
We were talking about this today with articulation, and it's so fun when you actually understand and know when you have voice sounds and unvoiced sounds, and look in that mirror how your mouth is shaped. I even saw a meme recently of, many of you have seen it, of the many mouths that a reading teacher will make, and everybody's mouths is all open like that, but you kind of got to get fun and exactly. Exactly. Yeah. But once they know those things, then they start to apply those things, voiced, unvoiced. I tutor kids in addition to all my other work. And I just taught one group of kids suffix ed, and how the suffix ed, when it becomes, if it's attached to a base word with the final consonant is a voiced or unvoiced, if it's going to make the t or d sound. And so then you start to apply and see it in practice, and it clicks for them because rules provide consistency and it provides trust in our language. So love hearing that.
That's really true. And what I love most about when students understand the production of this sound is it plays out in their spelling. Because when they're trying to spell, they're feeling it in their mouth and they're like, oh yeah, that's one of these. And then they write it. And it's like, it really matters that they understand those phonemes and the different features of them. And then that translates into their writing. So thanks. That's awesome. Congratulations. Who wants to take over next? Elizabeth, you want to go?
Yeah, one golden nugget. That's a hard ask. I do have many, but on a practical level, micro level, I did go to Linda's seminars, Linda Farrell, and I feel like I'm pretty solid at following a scope and sequence. And we all know that once a child gets through being taught all the concepts and getting through all those skills, sometimes they still aren't proficient in one area. So I feel like I really boosted my knowledge and ability to apply teaching in fluency for all my students who did unlock and crack that code and maybe weren't able to read with as much fluency as is necessary to be efficient comprehenders. So I really appreciated meeting her and growing in that skill, as well as visual tracking and visual drills. I just never have felt like I've been solid at helping my students increase or train their visual abilities to be more proficient with B's and D's and A's. And I just needed to be taught that a little more. And I applied it, and it was very easy, and the students respond really well. And on a bigger golden nugget macro level, I feel like I was just introduced to so many resources that I utilized all year. And those are all like Tracy Whedon, is it Nyehouse? Nyehouse, right? Neu, Nyehouse. That's a great resource, really great reading. Amplify, Tools for Reading, Mount St. Joseph. I just was introduced to an abundance where I would always access them and then share them with people here. So I feel like it's just spreading.
Oh, I love hearing that you're being an ambassador of change. And that's what the Reading League's all about. The more we spread the inspiration and the transformation, the more we help and serve children into the future and create a more literate society who has the ability to read to learn, right? And that's powerful. I love it. I love the nugget you pulled out about the tracking and the visual attention. I resonate with that because a long time ago, I didn't understand why so many kids would get to first grade and had the BD reversal problem and the GJ and the GP and all these, like, what's going on? And And then Linda came into my life, and Linda basically schooled me on, well, you have to teach these things. And sure enough, it was pretty straightforward, and it's very much instructionally sound routines that help you set students up for success in how they are accessing that print. So that's really cool. I'm glad that you got that. And Teresa.
The golden nugget. I think just when I got to go to see Linda Farrell again, really just solidifying the understanding of a decodable reader and a leveled reader, and just how important it is to know that if you are not a successful, confident decoder, you have no business working out. You're getting frustrated in a leveled reader. So I've spent a lot of time really investing in decodables. My students coming in this year, everyone was read but one student. And I have seen such a confidence boost in being able to use Haggerty every day. I'm super strict about 100% engagement, manipulating the sounds and applying that in their reading when they're reading independently. And my students they're growing at such a rapid rate because they're able to access the sounds. They can manipulate the sounds. They can, they can successfully tap the sound. So when we're doing spelling by pattern in my classroom, so we do a lot of dictation sentences, and they're able to apply what we learn in patterns while they're writing. And so these kids are just growing at rapid rates in writing because of all the different sound manipulations we do in Haggerty. We do the Haggerty blend cards. We do sound mapping. So it's really wonderful to take these challenging words and sound map them, and really put those heart sounds over where it is a challenge. And then it's incredible that it applies to the writing. And so you just see this growth. So for me, the decodables really just, it spoke to me, and how when I have a group so low, I cannot expect them to go into a leveled second grade reading book and not find success there. I want to build success. So I start with a decodable and work my way. And now my students are reading at a second grade level, and we are accessing the text that we could not touch at the beginning of the year, which it makes me feel so incredible. So Linda Farrell is just a little rock star. She's changed my life in understanding the difference and how important it is to be able to apply that.
Jeannie or Terry, have any comments on Linda? We all, I mean, Linda's one of my dearest mentors, and I wish I would have had her on the call. I totally, definitely changed a lot of our lives, and I'm very grateful. She'll be a returning mentor this year at the Big Sky Summit 2023. Linda's taught 5-year-olds to 85-year-olds, and I actually use one of Linda's reading curriculums almost every day that I'm in a school. I think it's one of the systems that I've found that, because Linda knows how to teach students so with such clarity and such conciseness, and she's found all the loopholes where students have struggles, which is what you're talking about, like what is the difference between the decodable and level, and she makes it very clear in her sequence and what we need to do. It's been really helpful for me to have her as a mentor as well. I love hearing that, and just such an honor that we're standing on the shoulders of such greatness. That's actually our theme this year, is standing on the shoulders of mentors and sages. And Linda's been a mentor to all of us, it sounds like. So what a privilege. I'm going to share that with her. I'll make her watch this. So I think one of the big important pieces that all educators need to hear. And wait, I need to give a shout out. We have, I believe it will be Meda from South America on this call right now. And so from Guyana. Yes, South America. So thank you for being on this call. We would love it if you come join us in Montana with the Reading League Montana, in alliance with many great Science of Reading partners. We were really wanting to leave ripple effects into the entire world. So thanks for joining us. This is exciting. One of the things that I think happens in our journeys as educators applying the science of reading is that we bump into hard spots. And they can be hard spots with the leaders we work with. They can be hard spots with the curricular tools we have don't help us apply the knowledge that we just gained. They can be that you don't have the time in the day to do the work, that you're a little unsure about if you're actually doing it right because you don't have a coach, and you're thinking, I don't know what's going on here. And then all of a sudden one day the kids just turn on and you're like, oh my gosh, it must have worked. And that's called grit. You have to like work through it and really have the consistency. As Terry and I say a lot, it's the consistency has this compounding effect. When you're consistent and persistent, you will see the results just keep magnifying. Okay. So, but in that, I would love to hear about a moment that you can recall in this last few months of your life in this transformation process of taking information to application. Do you have a moment that you can recall where you're just like, whoa, this has taken a lot of grit. Like I'm working through this. We'd love to hear about those moments. Okay. And they can even be the moments that you might say, I failed forward, which means I failed, I learned, I tried again. And so we would love to hear about those because I think all of us need to be very humble and curious about this process because it's really hard just to get it right away. So how about one of you want to start off? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Jen, do you want to start again? Teresa? Elizabeth?
I'm happy to start.
Okay.
I am in my second year teaching an EL student. I desperately need to learn Spanish. I've been trying to learn Duolingo and all of that. And where I've found my hardest moments are because of attendance and just the barriers. I've really struggled with my student learning her short vowels, long vowels, going to Dr. Anthony. Oh my gosh, from
Antonio Fierro.
Antonio Ferrero. Yes, from Tools for Reading.
Yeah.
Learning from him at the training about the difference in sounds in Spanish versus English was mind-blowing. No wonder I and E are so challenging when they say the opposite sound in the different languages. And so I use, itch. I'll rub the edge of the desk, edge. I will try and make something that's connecting to her life. So for I'll say Chihuahua. Her mom is from there. And I try to implement anything I can do that makes it more concrete for her. It is a struggle because I've seen so much growth everywhere, but with that attendance piece, I'm trying everything in my power to get her everywhere extra. But when she's pulled from class for extra, she's getting the gaps. And so I'm trying to figure out how I can best meet the needs of my EL students in the future by being more successful. And I guess I'm coming this year to find more information about teaching EL and just mastering it better because I want to be able to be better at what I do. So,
you know what? I love your humility around this topic. I think it's a hard one, and we get a lot of questions. Terry and I do. And Jeannie, you just sent me an amazing webinar with Elsa Cardenas Hagen. How about, could you grab that and pop it into the chat box, and we'll make sure Teresa has it. It's Elsa is one of our leading voices in the field about how to do this work with our multilingual learners. And that I just started watching it today. As a matter of fact, any of her webinars are great, but this one's new. And so it's nice and helpful. So we'll make sure you have another link to that. Okay.
thank you.
Continue your learning. All right. So Jen, what do you have to tell us about gritting it out and failing and all that good stuff?
Well, just really for kindergarten, just holding their attention long enough to really make it engaging. And I did find that songs are the best, that they're the best teachers. They're the most engaging. We do visual phonics, so getting that, but really just our biggest thing was the fine motor skills. Trying to find the balance of writing and really being strict about their formation, things like that. Really just trying to push the writing component, and it's this balance of how much, what to do, and really like finding a good rhythm for it, because a lot of kids were triggered by it. They were overwhelmed by the writing component. They loved the speaking, they loved the songs, but when it came to writing, and really forming their letters and getting that correct and attaching that sound to print. It was tough for some of them, really tough, still tough, just to write. So we dictate sentences as well, and that takes all of their energy to really put that piece together. So to make sure that I have that every single day in a routine, in a system, so that way they know what to expect, but really pushing that orthographic mapping every day in every word. So in the beginning, we start with one letter at a time, and we're just trying to form that letter correctly and attach that sound. But it is that writing piece is probably my biggest failing forward. Like just trying to keep learning about how to really introduce the writing, how to make it engaging enough for kindergarten and appropriate enough for kindergarten to make sure that they're not missing out on the gaps, because sometimes you want to move too fast and then they're just writing strings of letters where it's like, okay, we really have to take our time and really understand the different parts of writing. So that piece, that writing component is really where I want to, that's my next rabbit hole I'd like to jump down in and just see more information about how to connect, because reading and writing are so connected. I want to learn more about that for kindergarten and see what that looks like in a kindergarten setting, and really set them up for when they go to first grade. They're already very familiar with the conventions, they're familiar with all their sounds and everything they need to become a successful writer so they can put their thoughts down. So just pushing forward for that, just tying in that reading and then that writing component together and trying to find that time, because that was another uphill battle where I had time for reading, but when it came to writing, I had to put it in a different part of the day. And then by that time, it kind of becomes disconnected. And so it's one of those things where it's trying to find the time and trying to find the connection for writing. Writing's my big fail forward type deal. Still want to keep pursuing that.
So that, me too. Yeah, I could say that again and again in my early years of my career, especially. One of the things that we do have to offer you is the Reading League. We did a pre-conference series with Nancy Fetzer last year, and it's, I think, 6 or 9 hours of writing training, and it's for K2. And did you participate in that?
I didn't know.
Okay, so the class is accessible. We can get you a little link to it. It's for a nominal fee, and it's hours of work that she gives you all the handout. The actual application tools are with the class, and then her actual manual, I think, is $19.99 as a PDF, and with all the video resources right online. Pretty powerful teacher, and she is a tried and true teacher, 30 plus years in the classroom in a school that was high risk, all Title I. And she transformed her school and her special ed classroom and all these wonderful things. So anyways, there's a great resource in failing forward and knowing that now you get to dig in. And there are other great ones, but I really know that Nancy has helped me a ton because she's practical, she's oral language based, and you need a lot of oral language in kindergarten to build great writing skills. So yeah, so there you go. We'll connect. We can connect again on that for that class later. So, all right, Elizabeth.
Some of the hard spots for me this year, I own my own private practice as a learning specialist, and I provide a lot of literacy instruction. I would say the biggest hard spot has been staying focused in terms of causing the least amount of harm while spreading the message of the science of reading and that reading can be taught. I work in Montana, and we have made gains where I live in the last couple of years. And having that fine balance of collaboration and respect while also rocking the boat, and doing it in a way that that feels okay. So I always stick to my, mantra of what's best for children, what's best for readers, what's best for whoever we're working with. But there's been a lot of ups and downs, and there's been times of, I'm kind of this path of life and this career, and I've never been a business person. I've been a teacher. So I'm building a business and creating all of those systems, and I'm full because there's such a need for so many kids to learn to read, and there's referrals, and there's parents wanting support in advocacy and student rights. And I thought teaching was burnoutable. This has there's a fine line of self-care and balance, and not knowing how to take my hat off at night. So I think continuing to analyze where I'm going to put my energy, and knowing how I'm going to feel best at the end of the day and at the end of the year, and adjusting each school year like we do in the classroom is kind of how I'm going about my business model. So I'm building capacity. I have instructors who are learning and being trained, and we can work with more children. I've worked with schools that are absolutely increasing their skills, and I'm learning about the realities of defensiveness and systems that aren't able to change, and that's disheartening sometimes. So staying connected with this came at a great time now.
That's good. I'm so happy. Terry, I'm thinking of you in this perspective. You want to add to that?
Well, you're bringing up so many things that I mentioned. I tutor kids in addition to work that I do around literacy leadership. And one of the hardest things too, when you tutor kids, and actually I've presented about this a lot, is about this disunity that is happening. And Elizabeth, you may be experiencing this. So when I get the kids in front of me, I have to do so much unlearning. And boy, these babies will say, Miss Terry, Miss White doesn't tell me to do it that way in my classroom. And I'm like, I know Miss White doesn't tell you to do it this way, but I'm telling you to do it this way. And this is the way that I want you to do it. And they'll also tell me, well, I tried to tell Miss White that she wasn't doing it the right way. And I'm like, oh, okay. So Elizabeth, you're seeing this too, this disunity. So you're teaching them through a structured approach. They are sitting in their classrooms being taught to guess, being taught all of these things. And so it's like we're competing against one another, and we're putting our kids in the center, asking them to be the discerners of the best way to read. And what a child is going to do is they're going to listen to the teacher that's in front of them. If I'm in front of them, they're going to do what I ask. If the teacher that's asking them to guess at words, that's what they're going to do. And so we talked about, Nell said it, consistency compounds. What if they were getting consistency, reinforcement from core instruction to tiered instruction? Consistency compounds. And so I talk to my parents all the time. They're trying to be advocates in the classrooms as well. But all I can say to you, Elizabeth, is this, is that you are fulfilling a purpose here. Lean into that purpose, because if they didn't have you, then they wouldn't have anything. So keep at it.
Well said. Thank you, Terry. It is hard work. The science is complex. It's deep. It's got a breadth and depth that I don't think I'll ever fully master. But there are very clear, simple golden pathways that have been tried and true for some of them for 4 decades, definitely since the National Reading Panel. So we know that this structured, systematic approach builds this consistent routine in a child's life. It teaches this computational mechanism called the human brain to adapt and to pick up the information it needs to code the language, and all of a sudden it starts to read. If you apply it in a teaching method that's systematized, it's actually very beautiful to watch. And for those that begin to have a persistent poor response to that systematicity, we know that great instruction helps us understand who has dyslexia, who has a difference, because great instruction should define the difference between the 80% of students who are going to respond to typical core instruction. And then when we have the persistently poor response, we know that these are the students who need us to do something and unify our practices and intensify our practices in distributed practice across the day, in core and in intervention. And so this is really meaningful to talk about. And so I think you're really thinking about important things, and all of you know what I'm talking about when I say all of these things. So I know you're in the throngs of it all the time, right? I have one more thought. I have a question. Teresa, did you happen to win a few awards this year? I picked up on a few of them, so I'd love to hear about them.
It's been a crazy year. I was nominated in November for the MCASE General Education Teacher of the Year, and I won. I couldn't believe it. It blows me away. And then the Livingston VFW Post also nominated me for Teacher of the Year for my Veterans Day assemblies that we put on here in Wilsall, and just for teaching, patriotism and pride in being an American to my students. I'm so thankful for the recognition. It blows me away. I just say I try my best every day. But what I keep hearing mostly is that I'm willing to do whatever it takes for my students to be successful. And I don't care what it is, I will do it. And I guess that's not always as common as it should be. And so I'm whatever I need, whatever they need. And so thank you for that. It's only my 8th year, and it just makes me feel like I'm on the right path and I'm making a difference. And I've been telling you for this last year, going to the summit and learning has changed my career. The passion I have, the fuel that starts my day when they are successful. I was passing my students information to the 3rd grade teacher this year, just last week, and seeing everyone go from literally the valley. I said we were climbing to the summit of the mountain this year, and we are there. And to see it, to feel their success, it brings the joy, it refills the cup, and this job is so exhausting. So it really is just life-changing. And so thank you.
Oh, you are so welcome. I think, Teresa, we've been together since the very first learning experience I decided to host, which was with Margie Gillis at the Structured Literacy Institute, right?
In Livingston.
Yeah, in Livingston. So, and then the Big Sky Summit, and then here we are. So, this is years of work. This isn't you just arrive, right? It's persistence and reading the books and calling your lifelines and getting into the work and failing and trying again and re-evaluating your schedules and how much time on task a student needs and what time of day they need it, and is this meeting their needs in this group, or it's whoa, they're not attending at this time of day. It's constant. Teaching is incredible feat of energy every day. So I just am thankful for all of you for taking it on, for transforming. I'm going to call all the attendees to the mic. If you want to jump on and ask anybody questions, pop them in the chat box. You can ask any one of us, Jeannie, Terry, and I, the scholars. We would love to hear from you. Getting congratulations. Yeah, I'll be sure to share with you the classes. Any other questions from out in the field there? Do Terry or Jeannie, do you have any questions? And scholars, do you have any questions? You want us to talk about anything else?
I would love to go back. I don't know how to make it happen, but I would love to go back some way, somehow. So,
Oh, wonderful. Well, the summit this year, we changed the dates. We had put out to all these leaders, like, what would you like? And gosh, it took a while and finally settled on August 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. And in the summit this year, we will have scholarships. So pay attention. We'll send them out to all the Reading League folks, and we'll have some outside scholars and some Reading League scholars. And we would love for you. You're allowed to apply again because
I know,
they're
it's like, I know.
again, I want to let the audience know
Yeah.
they're anonymously read, and 5 readers or 3 readers read each pool of applicants. All names were de-identified. They won the scholarship by their own merits, and that's how it works. And so we would be glad to have you apply again and have you a part of it, because you're an ambassador that will carry this work into the future, into your school, into your community. Your youth also tells me that you're going to be doing this for a while, and if we can keep you in education, I mean, I just pay for you tomorrow, because I want to keep as many educators in education who know how to do this work and help you get efficiency and build systems that support you as educators so you feel valued in doing the work. So please make sure you apply if you can't find another way to attend the summit. We would be grateful. So any other questions?
I have a question
Yeah.
for anybody on the panel. You've spoke to the summit being life-changing, and you spoke to some of the speakers that were life-changing, but I'm just curious, what else about the summit made it an experience for you that was just was a metamorphosis really for you?
Meeting peers I've worked with when I was getting my reading endorsement. I got to see Deb Persons last year. We reconnected. Mariah Pace. Just getting to meet leadership that is inspiring. The first time I met Dr. Nell, I was like, who is this? She is amazing. And every time I go to these trainings, getting to meet these just giants in this industry, it is so inspiring. It just gets you so ready for the school year. And then having all the resources there, all of the different groups, getting to ask the professionals who are putting on the programs, like, how do you do this? I mean, Antonio sent me pictures of sound walls so I could apply it better to my classroom. So it is just, there's so many incredible things. Not only is it in Big Sky where it's like you're on top of the world, but it's an international summit where we have people around the world coming, and you learn from your peers. That's how you become great, is stealing all the great ideas. So I love, it's like, so it brings me so much joy. So I am trying everything I can to get there again this year, because it is what fills my cup for the year, because it is incredible. So great question.
What? You're stealing ideas? I mean, I thought this was my science. We are definitely building a community, right? And that's what this is about, finding our community and our home and building the alliances. And really, it's creating a collective effect, and that is dropping a stone in the pool that leaves ripples into the future. Oh, yes. And how about Big Sky? There's everybody. This is the final picture of the final summit of the Big Sky Summit 2022. So the picture behind Jeannie and I is what you would be coming to if you're not from Montana. This is where Big Sky is hosted, right at the foot of that mountain. So you're in the wilderness, you retreat from your life. We're asking you to take part in a really energetically charged community that means nothing but love. And we'd welcome you home, per se, is what we like to say. Welcome home. So thank you for sharing. Elizabeth or Jen, do you want to say anything? But what other things?
I was going to speak to the overall full package. So just being in Big Sky definitely played to the beauty of the whole experience. Even the venue, the employees there, the energy, it was very non-competitive. It was very collaborative. And I do think the beauty of the location is intentional and has a big part of it. And I love the date that's going to be so wonderful, having the date August 21st, 22nd, 23rd, where teachers are not quite in their classrooms. They're not quite in the back to school meetings, and they get to take all this information and use it as fuel. Last year it was a little bit later, and it you know, I think this will just take a little bit of an opportunity for more people to attend because they're not going to be at their schools. So that's pretty exciting. I really love the date. So I will be there.
And I loved the camaraderie. So I went with another colleague of mine, and then I went with the special education department. And I got to meet Mariah Pace, and it was just so fun. Even you attend all the sessions, you get all this information, and then we just went out and we had dinner together and we talked about it. And it was so fun to see that community come together and that passion. And you just know that you're surrounded by people who are so passionate about learning about how to teach reading. And I had a great time in general, just all around. It was both in the sessions and then outside the sessions. It was all really, really fun. And that's why I want to go back. I want to learn more, and I want to get to know other people too. But still.
And I just want to say too, I didn't go with anyone. I went alone, and I didn't know anyone. And I made a lot of professional relationships. I do collaborate with Sarah in Bozeman, who has a learning literacy center. I have a lot of partnerships now with people who I can reach out to. I reached out to Nell, even though I didn't even get to, she was running the whole thing, and I just felt connected. So even if you don't go with anyone, I think that's great too. Like, I'm an example of, I just went and it was the right place to be, and I was with the right people. And that is just my 2 cents as well.
Lots of courage to step up and to have the agency to know that you can grow yourself and to take that step into the future of change. There's a lot of power in that. So where focus goes, energy flows. So then good stuff happens, right? You know, the Reading League had touched my life in 2018, and I was really grateful to become a part of it, a member of it, and to ally with the Reading League and to become a actual state organization. And so the Reading League Montana benefits, we make sure 5% of the profits of all of this goes to the Reading League Montana. So now we're building an incredible fund that will help us support training in far reaches of Montana for teachers that can't afford to come to the summit. You know, this is an allied partnership between my team, the Transformative Reading Teacher Group, of which Terry and Jeannie are on. And we are really grateful to ally with the Reading League across the nation, but also other great allies like NIHouse Education, the 95% group, this Amplify. We have Tools for Reading. We have, IMSI's coming this year. Wilson is coming this year. We have, we have some higher ed faculty coming to work with higher ed in changing their programs over to the science of reading. We have Stephanie Suller's Science of Reading Academy. We have lots of great partners coming. The AIM Institute in Pennsylvania, they're bringing a team. Lots of really incredible new partners, and to help us build this continuous community that's reaching an international audience, like Meta from South America on this call today. So we are so grateful for your stories and for your willingness to be vulnerable and share with us, and for spreading the word and doing exactly what the Reading League was intended to do, to inspire change so that we can reach and teach all children to read and equip ourselves with the knowledge we need to teach all children to read. So thank you. Have a good night, and I'm going to end this